I mean, you know what? I tell my 14-year-old son, you don't get rewards for expected behavior. I mean, you or I could have been the leader of the Senate Republicans, and we would have been able to do exactly what Mitch McConnell did in those situations. This wasn't like some great strategizing, maneuvering. We're giving him a pat on the back and saying, way to go, Mitch, because we were never confident he would do it, because he was so squishy and wishy-washy and so beholden to the establishment and the deep state that we didn't know we'd have the backbone to actually do what is right. But if you or I were in there, it would have been a no-brainer. And yet we're giving him kudos as if he deserves a trophy for getting Justice Gorsuch seated. I disagree. I think it's expected behavior, and anybody that was good would have done the same thing.
That's a fair point. I mean, I think that part of this is you're basically trying to give someone compliments for something that was their job. It's like, congratulations for doing what you were supposed to. The at least early narrative, they call it 3 Johns, which, you know, only in Washington is that something that you want to say. Thune from South Dakota, who's the current whip. Cornyn down there in Texas, where you are, who was the former whip. And then John Barrasso of Wyoming, who is the House Republican chair. Now, do you care who replaces him? Or do you have a favorite?
None of those guys would be my choice.
Right.
I mean, none of them. So you want to talk about no love lost with the MAGA crowd. Those guys you named, really, they're establishment guys. John Cornyn, I'm in Texas. I've been in Texas 20 plus years. John Cornyn is such a disappointment. You have the backing of strong conservatives in this state. Whatever the left wants to tell you about Texas going purple, it's not. This is a deep red state, and the people that are involved in Republican politics are deep red conservatives. You have the backing. You could be a strong Ted Cruz style conservative, and yet John Cornyn isn't, because he thinks he could buy himself power in Washington, which quite frankly he did. He bought himself personal power in Washington by cozying up to the establishment crowd of Mitch McConnell. Thune is the same way. And so none of these guys would be my choice. I'd love to see Mike Lee or Ted Cruz or, you know, even I don't know, Senator Cotton. It's one of these guys.
Well, Cotton says he's considering a run. And the thing that's interesting is they all play this game where, you know, one or the other one moves up, if you will, and then maybe Cotton, I'm like, that's great. The real power's at the top. I'm with you. Why don't we get Ron Johnson has said that he'd be, you know,
great. I can't believe I didn't even name him. He's probably my favorite of everybody.
I just wonder, it'll be interesting to see where they end up, because I've always said this about, and I say this jokingly, obviously, but when people are thinking about being vice president or being considered, I said, I hope you've watched the Mike Pence movie, right? This is how it ended.
Right.
And so if you want to be the Senate leader post McConnell, and you saw how Trump and McConnell interacted, you better be ready. I mean, to your point, if you're not happy with the MAGA crowd and the MAGA agenda, I don't know that you should put your name forward, because this is what you're going to get.